right? Most people think that Singapore property prices just keeps going up forever, right? But if you take a closer look, right, there's actually a repeating cycle, right, that has been happening over the years, right, decades, right? And for people who understand the cycles, they don't just buy property, they buy at the right time. All right, so in this video, let me just go through with you the cycle. Right, so you need to understand that property market always move in cycle, right? Whether it's recovery phase, whether it's the expansion phase, whether it's the peak, or whether it's the correction, right? So this price move according to the supply and demand, the liquidity, and also government policy, right? And the cycles tend to be shorter because it's controlled by our government. So if we look at this chart over here, right, basically over the years, right, Singapore property has gone through quite a bit of up and down, right? So when you look at this PPI, you need to understand which phase we are at also, right? So if you look at the property market over here, we experience a crash, right? And then we have the recovery, right? But because over here, globally, right, there's the dot-com bubble, right? Then we enter a correction, right? And then again, we have a recovery, right? Then we have expansion, then we have peak, then again, correction. Okay, and this cycle repeats again, right? Recovery, expansion, peak, right? Cooling measures, right? And then correction. Recovery again, expansion, right? Cooling measures. Now this time around, correction doesn't go deep like that. It goes sideways. Then again, not so much of a recovery, but then consider like expansion. Okay, and now if we look at the chart, it's like peak, right? Nobody knows where is the peak until it is formed. Same thing. Also, nobody knows where is the bottom only when it's formed, right? So if you read charts, you will know that this happens in all charts reading. You will not be able to tell when is the peak, when is the bottom, only when, right, it has already shown you in the chart. And with government policies, right, this basically shape the cycle, right? Unlike many other countries, our property market over here is heavily managed by cooling measures, right? Basically, the MAS, the URA, and the HDB. And with supply lag, right, this creates price surge, right? So same with any supply and demand. When there is a lot of people trying to buy and when there's limited goods, people will start to buy at a higher price because then that means that they secure the asset. Like anything you're buying, right? You basically secure at the price. People are willing to let go at a higher price. You go in, you get it, right? So with new launch, basically you will see land sale and then new launch, right? And then construction and then completion. This process usually takes like 4 to 6 years, right? And when supply is low, right, prices can rise quickly, especially with a place where people wants to stay. And all this data that's out in government controlling the price so well, basically they just keep increasing the price over the years. So if we look back at like 2024, right, EC is going at 768 in Tampines, all right? A condo, right, this is going for 1178, right? And then we have at Faber Walk, it is going at 900. And then we have Dairy Farm Walk, right, going at 1020, right? And then we have Tengah, right, going at 821. So you see, in different areas, the price just keeps increasing, right? River Valley, right, now River Modern, right, 1420, right? Anywhere that you look at, for something healthy, right, there's also, in terms of the GLS, there's the supply and demand. The government will not release all the land in the same area at the same time to make it difficult for everybody, right? Sometimes it happens, but most times, again, at the supply and demand. So if government thinks that there's, for the longest time around the area, there's no new launch, there's no new sales, they will come in, they will say, okay, this is ready for sale, this is ready for sale, come and bid, right? So it's happening every quarter you'll see there will be land open for tender, right? Different places are just available, developers can go in, bid, and then sell, right? And the interest rates and liquidity matter, right? Basically just means that where the money flows, right, some will come into the Singapore property, right? And when when the interest rates are low, right, mortgage is cheaper, demand will increase, price will increase, right? So with interest rates like that, especially now, right, going at near to 1%, people are jumping into a lot of property, right? And new launch versus resale cycles, right? You will see that new launch tend to move earlier in the market, right? The developers often will adjust the price, right, depending on the demand, right, because they can. And then the resale market usually move later on, right, following the new launch. And then this creates opportunity for everyone. So let me just give you a scenario. Let me just quickly draw for you. So let's say we have a property over here, right? This property, right, with all the amenities nearby being the same, right? Let's just talk about property itself, right? We are seeing the price going at, for example, 1500 PSF. Okay, and then this has been going for for the longest time, and then now we have a new launch coming over here. Okay, and with this new launch, the new launch price basically go at about, right, 2300 PSF, for example, right, with all things being the same, right, now the new launch is going at this price. And with this just means that around the area, this is the new pricing, right? So when people think that this is too much, right, because the price has already gone up, people will start to look at around this area, what else can I buy, right? Then we have this. So when the supply is only this much, right, there is only so many that people can get. And with the new one going at such pricing, right, people will start to think whether it's of value, right, or whether something that is slightly, cheaper is something that they can go in, right? If, for example, this is a desirable position, right, place. So you see, this actually goes in a cycle, right? When firstly this was a new launch, right? When firstly this was a new launch over here, the older one, the property price maybe it started at 1200, right? It actually went up over here, right? Then there's a new launch over here. Now, if we circle it back, this resale price will then start to move closer to this price, right? People will start to come in and see, right? The price will start moving already from 1.5, then to 1.7, to 1.9, right? Most of the time, it will not be more expensive than the newer one, right? It will just inch closer because this sets the new benchmark of the area, right? But sometimes this property can even override this. It really depends, right? Because there's so many factors out there. I'm just giving you an example. The resale price will move, right? Especially when there's a new launch coming into the picture, right? So something, a very quick example that you can understand how property cycles work, right? And in a real example, take the COVID back in 2020, right? Everybody expected the price to crash because what they think, right, is that nobody is going to buy. We are going through a black swan event. Everybody will start to sell. But the thing is that this is not a stock market. This is a property market. People need to stay. People need to have a place to live, right? So that came in realistically because we didn't see the crash. Basically, those who invested wants to get out of the market because they were scared, right? Some start selling. But then it came to a point where the sale basically stopped. Then, because people start thinking, right, there's low interest rate, there's strong liquidity, and then there's limited supply. Because back then constructions were stopped. Nobody can work, right? So all this construction got stopped. And straight after 2020, this actually caused the price to surge because everybody knows that there is nothing available already. So if I want to get something and then there's nothing out there, I need to faster go and secure something that I want to buy. So if everybody start realizing that, the price increase, right? So this shows that the property cycle demands is basically based on multiple things. It's not just economic fear. So you see, during COVID, this is the area where it actually went sideways, right? And then people start realizing, and then it shot up, right? So if you look at this basically tells you, property market, although there's similarity with the stock market or the crypto market, it is an asset class by itself. So you cannot mix up too many things. It has its basic fundamentals over here. And as a strategic investor, right, you need to understand that you don't want to try to time the bottom because it is very hard. If you happen to see a price drop, you happen to have everything ready, right? 天时人和地利, everything is in your advantage. then it's time to go in already. Because the longer you wait, it will become a disadvantage to you. Because if we talk about, right, whether how much you can loan, how much you can earn, with time goes by, the affordability basically go down. Okay, so in other videos I'll talk about that, but it's just a quick one for you to know since you're watching this video, right? So smart investors basically, right, they focus on, right, buying before the expansion phase, right, choosing properties that has got future demand, right, people want to stay there, right, and holding through cycles. Okay, so in Singapore, right, you need to think of buying property as a long term, right? Basically, because land is limited, right? We have very steady population growth, right? And then we have very strong government. So if you look at our total population, right, about 65% is made up of Singaporeans, right? And then we have PRs, and then we have people coming in to help us with our growth over here, right? And if we look at this in population chart wise, right, it is always increasing. It has never came down at all. Even, I mean, they removed the COVID part, but that came down for a short while, and then we went up again, right? And what we have in the future, right? So in a speech recently, right, government already came out and say that we will expect growth, right? This is just very recent, right? In February, right? Government actually stepped out and said that we will continue our growth to, take a step back. And with all this, right, the basic fundamentals are basically secure. There's no change, right? So if you buy into an asset, you need to understand the basic fundamentals, right? And these are the basic fundamentals of our Singapore property, right? So to summarize, right, the reason why we keep going up in terms of our property price is because, right, we have cycles, right? We have supply and demand, we have liquidity. It is properly controlled by our government, right? And because of supply lack, which is also created by our government, this basically helps the price to increase as well. Okay, and then with interest rates being low, right, prices continue to increase because mortgage are cheaper. And with new launch coming in, it will also help the resale market up the price, right? And even if we have black swan events, depending on what is it, because the basic fundamentals are strong, right, price continue to increase after a very short while. So that's basically it for you in this video, so that you understand the property cycle and try to understand when is the better time for you to go in, especially when you can go in. All right, so if you like videos like that, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to videos. All right, this way YouTube algorithm will help you. It will also help me, right? And then whenever I post a new video, YouTube will notify you. All right, see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.